She sat in the vice principal's office, her poor little 14-year-old heart racing like motor cars on the German Autobahn. In all of her 4 years to date in high school, she had never been called to the office for a misdemeanor. How on earth had one little creative writing assignment come to this? For this topic, we are going to learn how to write stories with open endings. An open ending is a story where you end on a cliffhanger, leaving your readers in suspense. And so, she had done her assignment. She could not recall if the teacher had asked her to read it to the class or if she had pushed her natural shyness aside and had volunteered herself. Whatever it was, she had found herself standing before a captivated audience. She could have heard a pin drop as she came to the last sentence. She had the attention of 44 pairs of eyes and ears, including the teacher. When class ended, her classmates had congratulated her on a fantastic story and encouraged her to keep it going. And so she had. Every weekend, she would add a new chapter, and every Monday, she would give her notebook to her best friend who was in another class. On a Friday, it would come back to her for the next chapter to be added for the following week. The story grew by leaps and bounds from her young and hormone-driven imagination, which had its foundation in Mills and Boon and Harlequin romance novels. The two main characters in her story took their adolescent relationship to heights and depths that had the weekly chapter updates being in high demand. But it all came crashing down. Teacher took it, passed around the staff room. She's so quiet. How could she write such filth? She should be writing for Penthouse. Her parents will need to come in. And so, here she sat, waiting for her mother. She had explained to the vice principal that her mother worked nights as a nurse and taught part-time on a school's morning shift, so would not be able to come in until later in the day. She looked up as the door opened and her mother entered the room. The red notebook came into view, and she watched in seeming slow motion as it was passed across to her mother. The conversation was a blur. Because this is her first infraction since she started here in grade 7, and she has just one more year to go, we won't expel her. Home was a tense space, and the red notebook was locked in the trunk at the foot of her mother's bed. Forgotten. But throughout the course of the next 35 years, every now and then, the memories of those epic few weeks would arise. As she became older, her love for writing came in bursts and ebbed and flowed like the waves on the seashore. Her imagination and pen wanted to fly in tandem, but something kept holding her back. The stamp of disapproval of her writing had been etched into her psyche. Even the vice principal's comment on her report for that semester had driven it home. She needs to not be inclined to write filth. Now she sits, pen in hand, a red notebook open before her, as she tries to finally step into the gift she has for storytelling that manifested all those decades ago and was promptly stifled. Many times she has wondered why everyone was so caught up with what she had written and not the fact that a 14-year-old had written a teenage romance novel. How could no one have seen her gift and helped to guide and mentor it? How could the only thing they saw was something wrong? How could the adults in her life have failed her so dismally? But it is no use crying over spilt milk. That other red notebook is long gone, and she has matured. She gets why the adults then had a problem. The thing is, people cannot lead you down a path on which they have never been. The concept of a child prodigy was an alien one at the time. And writing is a hobby, not an occupation. She now understands they could not give what they did not know how to give. Acceptance and guidance of the gift. She understands and has forgiven them for 35 wasted years. 35 years worth of writing, and all she has to show for it is what she has ghostwritten for others. Because every time she thinks of doing it for herself, she's 14 again and back in front of the vice principal, listening to her work being classified as filth. But she's now aware of what she needs to do and how she needs to do it. She was born to tell stories, and she tells them well. So, another red book is open, and her pen is flying across the pages. Can she tell you a story?